Oh, yo, chat. Anyone hear me? Man, YouTube's moved its go live button. I can't find it anymore. It's like, is it in YouTube Studio or something? I'm having trouble. Oh, awesome. Yeah, look at that. Code rig. Appreciate it, mate. I mean, Raymond, I've seen Raymond type 2 messages over the last 2 days. He loves the stream. We know that, right? I mean, he's not a hater. He loves the stream. I think he's just really passionate about maths. So, you know, it's understandable. We're going to see more of Raymond, I'm sure, over the next few days. We're going to expect to see him in 4 unit maths. Let me just have a look at just my YouTube Studio. I just need to fix up a couple of things. I just don't actually know how to operate the chat at this point. I need to be able to moderate the chat in case, you know, people do immature stuff. Let me see how to do that. Live control room, that's the one. Okay, we got it. I'm inviting all my friends. Hey, appreciate it, Viewtans. Awesome. Okay, so now, oh, we got a hater in chat. Weeb, someone says. It's not very nice. Look, there's nothing wrong with being a weeb. If you're a weeb, we're all weebs, you know? Like, it's fine. As long as you also enjoy other aspects of culture as well. It's all good. We're all a very inclusive channel over here. Yeah, so I hope everyone's feeling okay. I'm hearing that Yotans did not like the paper. This paper killed me, he says. That's, no, look. If it killed you, it means it killed a lot of people. And it just means that hopefully the scaling gets a little bit better if people found it hard overall. Let me just make sure that I can get moderation happening as well. Yes. Should we ban the weeb hater? Nah. Let them stay. They can survive for a while longer. Okay, so what do we got? Why English this year? Why are we doing English apart from expanding our content? Look, honestly, there's a reason why English is, you know, one of the compulsory, well, it's the only compulsory subject in the HSC. Like, subjects like maths and science and all those things, you know, you do them because you think it gets you a job. It's good for career and knowing how the world works and all that sort of thing. But ultimately, English, it's one of those subjects that when you look back on how you approached the subject, as well as language in general, you'll realize that it's the voice of how you map out your life, and it is the language of life. So if you think about it that way, English is the most important subject. And you're hearing this from Epic Maths, everyone. That's insane, isn't it? Holy. Right, so if you wanted to talk about, how things work, sure, science and maths. How to make money, economics, fine. But why are we here? What's the point of it all? How to articulate that? That's English. And that's why we're here. Now, just as a disclaimer before we get going, we've got, I'm not an English educator, right? I teach maths for a living. And when it comes to whatever we're doing today, this does not constitute advice for how you should be approaching your English studies at school. You should always listen to the professionals in front of you who are your teachers who've trained to teach English and do this day in, day out, right? And you'll find out that the answers that I give today are not exactly perfect either, right? We're just showing you an idea of the learning process of someone who, you know, appreciates English and you know, just wants to have a go at it. So hopefully you get something out of this, if it's not just entertainment. And and I'd love to see what chat thinks about all this as well. Honestly, like, the English teachers are your port of call for advice on how to do well in the subject. Okay. So with that disclaimer out of the way, we're gonna just set up the timing and everything on the stream. So we've got a time now, but it's not showing up for some reason. Oh, that's right. I've stuffed up the time app. Yotan's gonna help me, don't worry. Yeah, no, I appreciate it. We're gonna find out. There's the time. This is the time now. Now let's just make sure that everything's under control before we start reading time. So why is this time not ticking? Oh, it's ticking now. It's ticking now. Amazing. We've also got the part 1. Okay, we're going to do the reading comprehension first. We're not going to do the entire paper 1 and paper 2. We're going to do the parts that everyone who sat the paper have in common. And afterwards, we're going to do the part module B, just on the Eliot module, because I enjoy TS Eliot. But apart from that, yeah, we're not doing the whole paper. Hopefully, people find the first 2 paper parts entertaining. So the first part we're going to do is comprehension. Yes, let me just move my things around my desk. All right. So, paper 1. Now we're just going to make sure that everything's there in our bundle. We've got some writing paper. We've got paper 1, text and human experiences. Amazing. Is that module just so vague? It's like text and human experiences. Is that like not literally everything? And we've got paper 2. We're going to look at that a bit later. Okay. Now, you have to trust me on this. I have not seen the comprehension, okay? This is obviously an exam conditions attempt. We have not seen this. So you're going to see live how much of a challenge it is and how much pressure it is to do this in the 40 minutes or whatever that we have, okay? Now, the goal is we're going to give ourselves the 10 minutes reading time, and afterwards we're going to spend maybe 40 to 45 minutes attempting it. It's hard to really answer it. How did you get access? Chris says. Do all tutoring places get it? No, I actually work in an educational institution, which means that I can ask for it. So, okay, let's just make sure that the whole bundle has everything there. Okay, text and human experiences. So this is the writing booklet. Got it. And this is the question for the essay. Okay. Wait, hold up. So we got the question for the essay with all the prescribed texts, and we've got the stimulus booklet. So do we have to like pull this apart? Hold up. So how do we pull this apart, chat? Like, is there some like magic way of doing the staple? Wait, why is the staple like done in this weird way? Why is there like this munted, crooked staple that's sticking out the back? Do we pull? Fought my balls. No, we're not an English teacher. This YouTube channel is called Epic Maths. You're seeing a maths teacher attempt the Advanced English 2025 HSC. Hey, look at that. I got the staple off, guys. Got the staple off clean. So this is the writing. This is the essay, and this is the stimulus. Amazing. I don't know what people are complaining about. What's wrong with the staples, everyone? Is there a problem with the staples? Anyone want to like talk us through the issue with the staples? What's wrong with it? I don't see anything wrong with it. No issues here, guys. Staples absolutely fine, 100% fine. Wait, now the whole booklet falls apart. Okay, all right. Wait, hold up. So we got this, and we've got a different writing booklet for okay. All right, okay. No one in the state took the entire. Wait. So no one in the state took the entire staple out. Did I do it right, Yotans? Have I done this right? Have I cooked paper already by taking the staple out? I feel like I haven't. I feel like I've done the wrong thing, like the right thing actually. This is the English Advanced. This is the essay question. I want to put that off to the side because we're not going to do that today. We'll simulate reading it just because most people would actually read it. Okay, and this is a stapled booklet with stimulus. All right, so we're fine. We've got this writing booklet and we've got the stimulus. So we're ready to go. They ripped the stimulus booklet out. Oof. Oh, and then they had these guys together. They had the essay question plus the 2 writing booklets still limply stapled together and trying to work through them. Yeah, well. How do you all have little crowns? I'm not sure actually. I think it's just Yotans because he's one of the first chatters in the stream. All right, here we go. We've got some people saying in the Discord, Epic Maths, you okay? No okay person willingly does this. Yeah. No, look, I actually honestly enjoy it. So let's have a look at the time. We got 4:13. We're going to start at 4:15. We're aiming for 10 minutes reading time. Okay. W's in chat. Here we go. Yotans, W in chat. Kiki, hey, no, I took the safe for you. Kiki, did you go all right with that? Like, it should have been fine, wouldn't it? Like, this is so fine. Absolutely. Okay. Now, we're going to have to, like, do some moderating because the thing is, like, we've got to stick our commentary towards focusing on the topic at hand. Okay, so we're going to remove a few messages. Now, here we go. 4:15, we'll start the reading time. I might just open the writing booklet. No, we'll deal with the writing booklet a bit later. Wait, where would the questions go? The questions go here. The questions are on the writing booklet. We need the questions first. Chat. Like, I think that's probably the smart thing to do, huh? To actually read the question before you read the texts. Okay. All right, so we got our reading time started at 4:15, and we're gonna read the question. We can't obviously write anything on the questions at this reading time. We're also gonna read the essay question. Analyze. Okay, analyze how the representation of particular lies in your prescribed text enriches your understanding of the endurance of the human spirit. I mean, given that we got people reading like 1984 and The Crucible and everything, like, that's a bit of a fancy statement. I haven't seen this in a HSC papers before. Endurance of the human spirit. Like, you can read this a lot of ways, right? Now, you might think endurance stands for just the general resilience of the human spirit, but you can interpret the human spirit in a more broadly as just the human drive to achieve whatever someone sets out to, even if it's not of a virtuous angle, you know, like a lot of the characters in 1984 and Crucible. So I feel like you can expand this point to a lot of the characters you were already going to talk about in your essays. But of course, if you want to emphasize the theme on some particular characters that exhibit that exemplary endurance of spirit or show a really complex development, then you have to pick the right characters. But we're not actually going to do this, so this module on stream today. Let's move on from that one. Okay. Explain how Janssen celebrates the process of creativity. Oh, I'm going to read another creativity piece. Memoir extract. Here we go. I love rock. Shouldn't be reading this out loud. Sheer cliffs that drop straight into the ocean. Okay. Okay. So he's talking about rocks, guys. Remember, the question was about creativity. Celebrates creativity. Amazing. Okay, so now he's talking about wood and how. Let's just check how many marks. 3 marks. Manage to find unfamiliar hardwoods with unknown names from these. So Tutti is somebody else. Okay, now you see when it says but, it means that the piece is trying to tell something new, because I've really only seen enough for one point. This particular section about him liking to use rocks and appreciating rocks, and Tutti liking wood, does not give me enough for 2 points yet. That you need determination. Oh, okay, great. Okay, so we got, you can see the two aspects of creativity. Amazing. Okay, so in terms of technique, you might think acrid whiff of sulfur tells you something, but I don't think it does. Not for the point of creativity. Okay. Yep, okay. Now I've got enough to talk about text 1. Let's move on to text 2. So, how does Ferrante portray the ways that family relationships shape identity? It's a lot in that question. You've got family relationships and the word identity. Huh. Amazing, amazing. Family relationships, identity. This is a long-looking one as well, unfortunately. And we got 4 marks on this one. Family ratio. Okay. All right, whatever. So clearly fancy towns in Italy there. I realized that I barely remember these relatives. Maybe I had never actually known their names. I tried to hide it, but Victoria, oh gosh. See, this part's the key metaphor of how this particular character, okay? Insisted forcefully on that matter of looking. She said, I have blinders like a horse. Okay. But what's that got to do with identity? Oh, I see. Got it. All right, fine. This is great. We got a whole point out of that one. Amazing. So this is about how this grandmother, who's probably not very well educated, trying to have a critique of the fact that she's from an educated background, and therefore, because of that sort of higher status, they're more heartless. And this metaphor is meant to demonstrate that with the way in which she manages to sweep it around with her hand. Okay, so that's what the critique Victoria is giving us. Now we need 2 more points, unfortunately, in this one. How are we going for time? Oh no, we've got only 4 minutes of reading time left. In fact, okay. Not books only at... Okay, did I see some mysteries? In a cordial dialect, right. Okay. This is tricky because you're gonna try to find some, like, I mean, I get the point of this, right? So we got the behavior. Let's just check the question again because I'm kind of like burdened by the amount of content in this piece. Family relationships shape identity. So we've got the aunt, okay? We've got the relatives, the children. And then we've got the family relationship with the father. I feel like you kind of have to hit up all 3 in order to give a comprehensive answer about this. Okay. Yeah, I'm just going to need to look for one more thing about these children. Small drab furnished with objects. Where's a technique here? No, I can't find an extra technique to describe her relationship with these other children. So I'm gonna have to move on and come back to it a little bit later. Ouch. Okay. It's definitely harder on the time conditions for sure. Okay. Now I also have a trouble reading the chat because I realize chat's actually moving on, but I can't actually see the chat moving on for some reason, only on the other screen, which is a bit annoying. Okay. Let's have a look. Okay. Let's read the poem and read the question for the poem. I don't think I can get full marks for question 2 with what I see about it. Okay, analyze how Kuza shares insights about the experience of change. Experience of change for 4 marks. All right, this is all the time we have left to read one more text and then we're going to start writing. Dawn comes later and later now. Watching the light walk down the hill to the edge of the pond and place a doe there shyly drinking. Who only a month ago could do this. Then see the light step out upon the water. Now see no more than my face mirrored by darkness, pale and cold. Ooh. Okay. Startled by time while I slept, night in thick winter jacket. Okay, so we've got the personification, of the night. Bridle the doe with a twist of wet leaves and let her away. Then brought its black horse with harness that creaked like a cricket and turned the water garden under. Okay, so that section is great. It's like this whole night sort of character as a character. And I woke, and at the waiting window found the curtain. Who only wished to keep looking out must now keep looking in. I mean, you could call that parallelism, I guess. Well, I mean, because the question's about change, you got insights about the experience of change there. Only a month ago. Yes, okay. Look, it's what you can do with it in the limited time. I feel like I don't actually know the context of what this character is doing, and there's not much I can do about it. So we're already 1 minute into writing time. I'm going to have a go at actually writing this out now, unfortunately. Okay, let's go. So we got analyze how. Why is this folded? Huh? Oh, here it is. Okay. Explain how Janssen celebrates the process of creativity. Right. Okay. So how do we go about this? So when you like sort of try to answer this question, you can't paraphrase the question at all, right? You have to actually unpack this process and what he's saying about creativity. So I'm going to say that he celebrates the process of creativity in its multifaceted nature, both as a macrocosmic act of creation and a microcosmic act of refinement. I feel like this thesis will cover the two sides of this piece that I've picked up from it, okay, through the accumulation of mosaics, bulwarks, terraces, etc. Look, I mean, he's just saying like he's building these things. Janssen celebrates the grand scale of objects that can be constructed from the element of a simple rock. Okay, so that's one technique, and then you've got the other bit, which is like the part about the refinement. Okay, sometimes so you can say through the Volta, but that's a poetic technique though. We just have to run with it. Okay. I mean, no, we're gonna delete that and say no through the hyperbole of infinite patience and smallest salt spoon, Janssen also recognizes the aspect of refinement and patience that forms the dualistic nature of creation. And I think that should be enough for our 3 marks over here. So we're going to move on now. We got this one over here about the kids and the auntie. I still need to find one more thing. Okay, so we got the heart was struck. That's great. That's the metaphor for how the heart is impacted by the way that the grandma interacts with her. But I just think that there's a point to be made about these children, but I just like flung me into their houses without warning, and yet aunts, nieces, and nephews flung me into their houses without warning. It's like a very, very emotive sort of action verb, but it's almost very similar to the previous thing as well. Okay. They all spoke to me. Okay. We're gonna just talk about the cultural reference here. Unfortunately, I can't come up with something else. Okay, now they called me, and then we've got the idea of the name and the insight that's given to us about the name. So the question requires you to talk about the word family relationships and identity. So you want to actually talk about the connection between these two things and give a thesis about that in your response here. Okay, how does it do that? Okay, so you can say that the composer portrays the changing identity of an overeducated descendant. Probably there's a better word for that. That is evoked through her interactions, both physical and relational and symbolic, with her extended relatives. Okay, so what are we going to say about the first point? Through the metaphor, the heart was struck with a broad hand. Okay, so let's write that. Through the metaphor of heart, ... struck with broad hand. The composer demonstrates the authority that an ancestral figure such as Victoria holds over the identity of the narrator from the perspective of family heritage rather than the immediate influence of the father, because the father is really connoted negatively in this particular piece here. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the culturally specific references to Neapolitan cadences show how attention to language evokes a heightened sense of belonging with the relatives, with her siblings, thereby underscoring or affirming her identity as one of the family. Probably a more concise way of saying this, and I probably should have found a better piece of evidence, but it's the best we can do in this situation. And of course, we got the part about the name. How do we call this a technique? Had miraculously brought forth from my same body another person. Okay, so the evocative association of Giannina, that miraculously brought forth a new identity demonstrates that even a small change in the designation of a person can affect their perception of their cultural identity. That one's a little bit convoluted. I am not 100% convinced of how good that response is. The piece deserves a little bit more reading, but we don't have time for that in a comprehension exercise. So, how many have we done? We've done 2. How are we going for time? Absolute shocker. We used up 10 minutes of our time. We've only done 2 pieces. I feel like the amount of energy I spent doing them, I've done 3, but I've only done 2. That's tragic, okay? We need to get onto like the 4-marker poem. Okay, amazing. This poem, unfortunately, we've got a lot of enjambment. Okay, that's great. But what does the enjambment actually show you? It shows you that what was the question again? The experience of change. Okay, so initially this person is really attuned with the morning. Okay, sit with the morning, watching the light, walk down the hill. It's like this person has a very naturalistic appreciation of the dawn. Okay, and then what happens is, now no more than my face mirrored by darkness, pale and cold. So there's like a stark contrast there, startled by time. So night in thick winter jacket. So we're going to use this metaphor of night or personification. Okay, night as this entity, this persona that brings forth this dark horse. Okay, and then what's the last thing that we can talk about? Who only wish to keep looking out must keep looking in. So by this new found sense of darkness, this person is now stuck in their interiority. So by using this, I think there's enough to bring out the like interpretation of this poem to talk about their change from being a very sort of outward looking person to being someone who's a little bit depressed, I suppose. Okay, so we're going to try to go for that angle. The poet, because it's easier to write the poet than to write that name. The poet, because you're saying shares insights, you might as well get straight to what the insight is, right? Depicts the changing attitude of the speaker as one that was previously optimistic and outward looking to one that is secluded and pessimistic. Now, we haven't really analyzed anything yet because I feel like when you give such a big statement, you're okay to like not have to list all your techniques. So I'm not going to list any techniques because I'm about to do that in the coming up pieces of evidence. We've got enjambment, okay? The enjambment of every morning etc. We're going to need to probably give another one. Upon the water shows the initial sense of flowing attunement with nature that the speaker associates with the dawn. However, the personified night that brought its dark horse depicts the newfound entrapment within the darkness of the evening, as if the speaker is no longer able to experience the change towards the dawn. That's awkwardly worded. Okay, and lastly, we've got the parallelism. We might as well of keep looking out and keep looking in. Demonstrates the evolution of the speaker's mindset to the current state of, well, what's a more poignant word than depression? I mean, to a current state of paralytic interiority. Yep. Okay, so now we have to read something extra. Let's have a look at the chat for the moment. Actually, do we have time to look at chat? How much time do I have to actually do this piece? We've got 4:15, and we were giving ourselves about 55 minutes. So we've got 5:05 is, yeah, about 5:10. 5:10. We can go to 5:10. So we got time to read some pieces and have a look at the next couple of questions. Okay. How does Kingsolver expand the reader's understanding of the relationship between past and present? Now we can use a pen. Okay, we've got past and present, and we want to see the link or relationship between them, and it's a how question. So for 4 marks on this prose extract, and we've only got a 5 marker coming up on the next one, so you got to be conscious of how much time you spend reading this prose fiction. So let's have a look at Kingsolver's piece over here. Okay, so text 4. Struggling, okay. Where am I? I'm looking for past and present Expand my understanding. Please expand my understanding, Mr. Kingsolver. Garnet could still remember, from the day he was a boy, a giant hollow log, way back up in the woods. Okay. Could still remember. So this is a past memory, without even bending their head. So this is when they were children. The thought made him smile. So we got an anecdote here. They had reckoned it to be theirs. Presume ownership of a okay, and then carve on it with his knife. All right, so children who think they command nature, but in a very sort of innocent way. A surprising fact occurred to Garnet then, for the first time in his nearly 80 years. All right, okay, sit, little unk. The unfortunate fellow who chopped down that tree. Oof. Then having to leave it. Or how many? What's this part? Why did they chop down the tree? How many times before had Garnet stood right there at the edge of the seedling field at the mountainside ruminating? Who named it? Who else could have felt? He and his sons would have spent a whole day and more with their shoulders against the cross-cut saw. Yep. They'd be mad as hornets then to find, after all their work, that the old chestnut was too huge to be dragged down off the mountain. Probably they took away tree-sized branches to be milled into, but that trunk was just too big of an old... I see. Okay, cool. So it's the same tree, except now it's turned into this hollow log that the child is... Oh, okay. Right. So they didn't realize, he didn't realize that's what the history of the tree was until much later. But a game for the useless mischief of boys. All right, mules they had to use in those days for any kind of work that got done. Okay, so this, I'm sure I can find an evidence here. A tractor was a thing still yet undreamed of. Yes, a mule. But some things could be brought with horsepower that were beyond the power of... Huh? Oh, interesting. So we've got a paradox here, but what point were they... That was just it. The very thing he had been trying to tell his neighbor. They had their limits. People keep the customs of their own day and time for good reason. Some things could be wrought with horsepower that were beyond the power of... I'm not actually sure what context they were talking about. It's about the tractor? No, it's about the mule, actually. The mule and the evolution of technology. Okay, whatever. So the paradox is about the mule. Anyway, that how the simple times, people with the customs. I don't really like this part because like this little bit just gives nothing to the story. My understanding of past and present has not been expanded by this little conversation with Miss Rawley. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's just not cool. So we got that. We got the anecdote. Can we just find one more piece here? Okay. How many? Oh yeah, just we'll take the rhetoricals. That will be plenty. Okay. Yes. And it's only 4 marks as well, so it's not really a massive issue. So what's our take on this particular piece? How does it between past and present? Okay. We can say that expand the reader's understanding. Our understanding. Now this is going to be a tricky thesis sentence to write if we start with something like this. Our understanding of past and present is not simply a function of our own interactions with the world, but of the cultural and historical connections created over generations as depicted by the composer's sustained observations about the fate of the tree. The opening anecdote. The opening anecdote is really about the kids playing, but let me just happily presume ownership. Shows the childhood wonder associated with the tree despite later knowledge of its fate, demonstrating the lasting emotional impact of past experiences that enrich present understandings. I'm just linking back to the question here. Okay, the sustained rhetorical questions the rhetorical questions, there's quite a few. There's like how many times before, and who else could have, demonstrates the pliability of memory in a way that creates revelations about past events, even if they are no longer of pressing concern in the present. I mean, the piece does say it in a much more interesting way. I mean, it's like he's making this like crazy epiphany that's the grandpa who felled the tree. I'm not sure how well this captures that. I think the piece is fun. I've really enjoyed reading it, but I'm not sure how well I've captured that. The paradox, the paradoxical statement. Some things could be wrought with horsepower. Demonstrates the shifting attitudes during moments of technological progression. That's not enough, so we're going to say something along the lines of underscoring past ingenuity as appreciable alongside present conveniences of things, such as, because horsepower refers to the tractor. Okay. I just don't get the last paragraph. The last paragraph said absolutely nothing. I was hoping to find some extra point in the last paragraph. So we've got a 5 marker coming up. I'm going to read the 5 marker. We're doing decently on time. We've got about 15 minutes to get the last 5 marks, which is, we have to read it as well. Evaluate McFarlane's representation of the connections between humans and the landscape. So we've got connections, humans, landscape for 5 marks. You will not need a linking sentence for this, honestly, if your 4 points of evidence are good and your thesis is good. So, and we got not a massive task here either, so it should be okay. Okay, a lot of nature. Has every single piece been about nature? I'll accept the auntie one. That's crazy. Text 1 is nature, text 3 is nature, text 4 is nature, and text 5 is nature. Amazing, guys. Do you reckon the creative is going to be about nature? The way into the underland is through the riven trunk of an old ash tree. Connection between human and the landscape. Okay. Connections. Bees drowsy. Okay, what's going on here? Somewhere down on the low, an unseen fire is burning its smoke like a column. A trail drops stones one by one into the... Okay, so there's a bit of like, you got the, what's that thing called? Onomatopoeia? I haven't used that for a long time. Follow a path through fields, past a hill to the east. This is like a gold of standing corn, green of fresh hay rows. It's just very descriptive language, but what's the point it's trying to make? Connection between human and landscape. The only part I can see is that this is an anthropomorphism of the word bees. So we've got this sort of idyllic sense. Okay. Past the hill to the because it's 5 marks as well. I've got to find 4 things. Over a stile in the limestone wall. Okay. Its crown roots reach far on the ground. Okay, so we got underground. It's like a recurring theme here. Okay, swallows curve and dart. This upper world is... What is it on about? Near the ash's base, its trunk splits into a rough... So we still got the trunk of an old ash tree. Hollow heart. There, drop into the dark space that opens below. Imagine it ends up being a drop toilet, huh? I'm just saying, like, that's the image that comes into my head. I'm like, drop into the dark space that opens below. I mean, look, if you've got that much of a permanent hole in nature, like, what are you going to do? Like, you know, people are going to do their business there, aren't they? Just saying, like, not buying this image here. Beneath the ash tree, oh, okay. So we got like a little labyrinth happening underneath this ash tree. Above is solid rock. The surface is scarcely thinkable. Oh boy. Are you serious? Scenes from the underland start to show themselves on the stone. Wait, the passage turns again, narrows, then leads into a chamber is entered. Sound now booms, resonates. The walls of the chamber appear bare at first, but then something... Scenes from the... Oh, man. What stone are they referring to? I've totally missed the part about the stone. If there's like a stone... Great. Amazing. Maybe the stone is like the cave underneath. Oh, okay, it's a cave. In the cave within, a figure in house, a mouthful of rego. And then blows the yoke hard against the hand's back. There's an explosion of dust. Then the hand is lifted. The stone around having taken... What's ochre? I forgot what that is. And another power. Calcite will run over these prints, sealing them in. The prints will survive for another. I mean, okay. Okay. Great. I'm stumped. That's great, guys. I have not picked up what this test is about. Humans and the landscape. So, guys, this is what you do when you have zero idea, absolute zero, guys, idea of what a text is about, okay? Because there's no plot, there's just a lot of effusive nature descriptions, right? You just have to try to answer the question. You're going to say humans and the landscape. What is it about humans? We're going to use the bees drowsing because I think that's cool, okay? But we can't overuse this section. I'm going to try the second thing we're going to do. That a person, humans and the landscape. A labyrinth. So we're gonna like talk about how the landscape reveals secrets that humans can explore that were not intended for humans. It's not artificial. Okay, and then later on we talk about this, we can see that humans want to leave their mark, right? So we got leaving their mark through this, like, you know, and we got this like human emotions kind of repetition of rhetorical questions. Okay, of life in the darkness. So this could be like its own thing, but then we've also got the motif of the ochre dust, okay, which is to do with the fact that there's a certain permanence that's left behind by the handprint. Okay, so we've got that, the bee's drowsy, and a person might slip. But we also got the time thing as well. Yeah, the labyrinth and the maze is really good as well. I really like this imagery. So we might actually dump the bees. Okay, all right. So I've seen enough to come up with a thesis about what this piece is about, even though I can admit to you right now that I have zero idea of what this is about. Okay, it's a bit too figurative for me, but guys, can you guys believe it? It's non-fiction. It's non-fiction that's too figurative. Okay, just what are you doing, guys? What are you doing, Nessa? Okay, so what are we gonna say? We're gonna say that McFarlane represents the ability of the natural landscape to evoke a sense of exploration or exploration within the human spirit, ultimately leading to but where's the connection here? A sense of it within the human spirit, leading ultimately to the reconciliation between the familiar and unfamiliar. Not sure about this, everyone. I mean, we're just trying our best here at the moment, and because we're not sure, we're actually going to go for 5 pieces of evidence in our response, just to try to like get some insurance going on. Okay, so the internal rhyme of bees drowsy depicts the idyllic the idyllic sort of appreciation that humans experience when immersed in the familiar overland environment. Okay. Now, but we were saying here though that this is like multiple pieces of evidence, right? But I can't actually, it's crown, it's long vowel, it's, okay, all right. So the anaphora of its crown, its long vowels, centralizes the ash tree as the conduit that connects the intrepid human heart to the unfamiliar potential of the underground. Yeah, okay, well, that sounds good, right? It sounds good. I'm not sure how well it answers the question, but whatever. Okay, so where's the maze part? Yes, the extended motif of labyrinth and maze intimates the heightened, the bewilderment sounds good, that humans experience when surrendering and immersing in the unfamiliar aspects of landscape. Okay, now we're going to have this part about the ritualistic imagery of what do we got here? In house, the mouthful of red ochre dust. Red ochre, how do you spell that? Dust. Reveals the intrinsic human compulsion to establish a metaphysical connection with the landscape, in this case through leaving an imprint of the hand with the dust. PTO, in case the marker doesn't see it. And lastly, we got this part about the, however, the repeated rhetorical questions of joy, question mark, of warning, etc., demonstrates the interpretability of this newfound connection with the landscape turning this entire experience of seeking out the unknown into a philosophical art form on its own. Okay, so we've actually put in an extra piece of evidence because I wasn't sure of what this piece meant. So it's extremely figurative. It's so sometimes you got to try to shore up your chances, right? And we've just hit 5:10. So we got up to 5:10, and that means that we spent, how long did we spend here? 5:10. So we spent a total of 10 minutes reading plus 45 minutes writing, and I squeezed really hard trying to get something out of the last text. This is pretty much all you have time for because you're going to need at least 45 minutes to engage with your common module question. And this year's question, you need to unpack the human spirit and all that sort of business. So you can't really go any longer on this part of the paper one. Yeah, so 45 minutes, you're not going to be able to flunk your piece, and maybe just be considerate of, if you're doing prepared essays, you don't want them super long. You're going to struggle to write them in 45 minutes. And yeah, so we got pretty much this comprehension finished up. Okay. I don't know how well that went. Let's have a look at chat, because I haven't had a chance to actually interact with chat. Compared to maths, this is like high brain power, honestly. So let's have a look at what's going on over in the chat. Okay. A lot happening. Let's have a look. Got in trouble for taking it apart. Let's have a look. It's hard on the time conditions. You can explain it in infinity. This identity extract was so bad. Had literally no good quotes. Can you say the use of first person I makes it a personal piece? I put this YouTube on the BOS. I don't think they knew about it. Tyweb the goat. The trauma of the human spirit is so real. I like this question. Explored the usage of ellipsis, dialogue, and anecdotes. Okay, I explored how the past shapes the future but does not determine it. I hated question 4, threw my rhythm off so badly that I started playing with the staples again. I did not understand question 3. Is this Tyweb? Oh boy, oh boy. This is not Tyweb. Who is Tyweb? Wait, Tyweb is like on border studies. That's right. That's insane. That's insane. Oh boy. Okay, so we got this done. And let me have a look. That was it for the comprehension. So now, let me have a look. Luke, if you're still there, what did you not understand about text 3, question 3? Oh, the experience of change. Yeah, honestly, like, I think if you've done enough comprehension practice, you'll realize that a lot of these texts are not like that obvious. You have to read something into it. And it's not, you're not going to get a definitive answer every single time. Thoughts on question 2? You mean text number 2? Let's have a look. I thought text 2 was the hardest because it sort of went on a long time about how this whole section here about the relationship between the nephews and all that did not really strike me as having some evidence. I know what it wanted to say and it said it very clearly, but I don't actually know if it actually provided any insight that you can put into a single sentence. Yeah, Raffin, yes, that's right. We're the guy that does the maths papers. Exactly. Man. Anyway, so that was text 2. Okay, so we're gonna have a quick look at the next thing, which is what's it called? The craft of writing. Can he do English too? Well, I mean, I can speak English if that's what you're asking about. Could you say how the character has emotional resilience in question 3 by seeking meaning in the darkness? I think you could. I reckon you can argue that. Emotional resilience. Because that how does that answer the question about change though? Do you know what I'm saying, Chris? Like, what do you think about the word change? Do you think that you've addressed the word change through emotional resilience? Is there enough change in your answer? Yeah, Hat reckons so as well. Yeah, I thought question 2 didn't have enough in it. I talked about seasons for question 3 and change over time. Seasons. I can kind of see seasons. Do you? Where do you see seasons? That's interesting. Yeah, I always feel like this person's suddenly sort of transitioned from being hopeful to being less hopeful. That's all I picked up of this poem. I'm not sure I found seasons. But question 2 was harder for me as well. Yeah. Anyway, we should have a quick look at the craft of writing. See what that's about. Oh man, I'm trying to find all the bits and pieces. Okay. Section 1. Yep, that's all there. I've lost everything. Where is this? Okay, this is the essay section. You did seasons as well. Hey, where do you guys find seasons in this stimulus booklet? I cannot find seasons at all. That's crazy. Where is seasons in the poem? Maybe I'm the one that didn't pick that up at all. I can see winter. Oh, kind of like the, what's it called? What's that thing? The daylight savings? Maybe that's what it was. Daylight savings. Amazing. Yeah, I can kind of see that. It's just that, like, the rest of the poem doesn't explicitly mention seasons. So if you went to say that the nature transitioned from, say, autumn to winter, then that's change for sure, right? That's change. But then you want to unpack the relationship with this change and how this person responds to it. You can't, I guess, just talk about the season, but the experience of this change, I guess. Like he can't sit with coffee peacefully. Yeah, you know what? That's fair. That's really fair, actually. I think you might be right. Yeah. The title is also October. Did I not read the title? I didn't read the title, guys. That's awesome. Amazing. Yeah, no, good one. No, I like it. No title. Did not read title. Do not do this at home, kids. All right. So we got all this done. Now we're gonna have a look at the advanced paper 2. So what's the deal with these questions? It seems like they have. Is that a text? Is that the name of a text? It's crazy. Okay, so Module C, we'll look at Module C first, actually. We might as well just have a look at the stimulus and see what's going on there. Oh, wow, it's got extracts from all these Module B texts. That's no fun. You guys all just did Module C today as well? Let's have a look at this. What is that? It's a clock. What's like, is the print, should it be colored or is it just intentionally black and white? Did we look through that? I wasn't going to do common mod. I did comment on the question wording briefly at the start, Luke, but I didn't end up actually doing common mod. We're going to have a look at Module C now, but let's have a read of the question and what its requirements are, and then brainstorm a little bit and then try writing. In the actual HSC though, coming up with an idea on the spot is really hard. I don't have a prepared idea to write this piece about. So what would you even say, like, in Module C? Did you guys all go in with like some prepared ideas to talk about in your Module Cs? The Force Imaginative, Maybe Sad, White Dog Dealer. Nice name, brother. Like 6 hours ago, Force Imaginative. So you must have had a discursive that you really liked that you wanted to do instead. Let's have a read of this. So we got an image. We got like an image with a clock that's obstructed by some beam, and you got all these. Hey guys, do you guys chat? Do you reckon this is like a AI generated image? It may as well be. I mean, everything's AI generated these days, isn't it? Like last year. It kind of looks a bit generic. It's got time. Okay. And what about it? Craft an imaginative piece of writing which incorporates the provided image as the focus of your narrative. The focus. What do they mean by that? The focus of your narrative. Look, honestly, that's not too bad, right? Like, you can just... Yeah, okay. It's an actual photo, really awake. Tell me a little bit about it. I interpret it as a metaphor for internal change. The seasons are externals and we can't control them. It's cyclical like the darkness during winter with good times coming. You know what? I like it. Horace Pye clips, I think that will probably be an extremely good interpretation of the poem because I guess the relationship with the change, it's not just the literal change of the seasons, but the change in the emotional and the relationship and your perceptions of the world. For sure. It's an actual photo. That's cool. The last sentence being his lesson to focus on the internals inside of us instead, as we can't control it. Look, that's actually a solid interpretation. I like it. I like it. Yeah, I think that's good. I just sort of focused more on the tone and thought it was more to do with just the person getting more and more down. Exactly. And that's the thing about English. You can really interpret your poems in a different way. So what do we got here? We've got provided image as the focus of your narrative. I mean, what would I even write about? Focus of your narrative. And part B, explain how you have incorporated the provided image to shape meaning in your narrative, making close reference to your specific language choices in part A. Oh boy. Incorporated the provided image to shape meaning. Yep, nice. So it looks like here, so you don't have to make references to your prescribed text anymore. They're not a fan of their prescribed text anymore. You're going to have to like refer to your language choices, which is fair enough. Okay. That's the focus of your narrative. Guys, chat, do you want to give me some ideas of what I should write about? Like, there's infinitely many things to write about with this imaginative piece. Like, what would you even write about here? As the focus of your narrative. Interesting. It's just an actual photo. Okay. So guys, in terms of just entertainment value, what I'm thinking that I would personally write, right, is that you got this idea of time, and time is not something that it's very general, very universal. You can incorporate it into any sort of plot that you already have. Okay? And you've got 12 marks to get some progression in that plot and talk about sort of where that leads. You've also got all these like people standing around the clock, and what are these people? Okay, it looks like it's so personal though, like when you write something like this. Did you all go in with like some idea preset to write this about? Because I'd have to like brainstorm something from scratch, and that's quite hard. That's quite hard. It's based on the photo of the you referenced Margaret Atwood. Interesting. I use generation of the past and experiences that continue to the present. Fortnight, is that in reference to the the photo itself? The photo itself. I see. Okay. And it's imaginative. Great. Okay. We've got quite a lot. We've got a lot of ideas coming in chat over here. Chris says, I did the paralytic nature of grief and how writing can provide renewal from one's inertia. Were you able to incorporate this image as the focus of your narrative though? Because I mean, like, that sounds good, like the idea of the metafictive writing aspect, right? But as long as you manage to get the focus of your narrative as this clock business, okay? I mean, the idea is forming in my head, but I'm not sure how good I can channel like an imaginative piece that does that. I talked about conformity, fate, monotony, and the cyclical nature of our daily lives using the motif of a clock. The cyclical nature of daily lives is, I think that's something that speaks out to me as well, especially if you've done T.S. Eliot's poetry. Conformity, fate, monotony, that's great, Awake. I would probably say that that targets the motif of time very, very directly. What about next? Luke Lowell says, I did the power of storytelling within books and art to platform silenced voices throughout time. Oh, and allow for hope in the future. So silenced voices throughout time. So Luke, how much did you incorporate this provided image as the focus of your narrative? You remember that the word focus is this big, I think, emphasis here. They're going to be looking out for all these pieces that people came pre-prepared that deal with metafiction and trying to make a point about metafiction, or just the act of writing or creativity, right? Or generational change, or whatever pieces that people come in with. What's your angle, and how did you incorporate this as the focus? Do you guys know what I'm saying, Luke? Like, it's risky. They're trying to throw a little bit of a curveball at you with the word focus of your narrative. I did the passage of time and how death is inevitable because the clock keeps ticking through a diptych structure. I think the diptych structure will work quite well, okay, and the death is inevitable. I wrote in perspective of a grandfather clock which sees the action of others. Memories are ingrained in time while people come and go. Oh. So, Study, did you come in with this, or did you just make it up on the spot? That you're seeing a grandfather clock, and this clock is a persona that observes others and manages to emphasize the permanence of memory while the people come and go. I really like Studies one. I'm a big fan of Studies one. I did time symbolically to past texts and then an anecdote to the museum where the clock resides. Okay, I think that's plenty. That's plenty, Luke, for what you're trying to achieve here. It needs to specify people, so I just include relationship with parents, how connections developed over time and healing, especially Asian parents. Okay, yep, so you got that time thing that, yeah, okay, that forms the background of how the relationship with the parents form. And could you quickly show the Mod 8 question for the text in Tempest and Hagseed? I forgot what it was. Nah, I did it on the spot. Yeah, I did that. So Study, I'm a fan. I think if you wrote enough to do this on the spot, I think so far I'm a big fan of Studies one. The perspective of a grandfather clock which sees the action of others. Memories are ingrained in time while people come and go. That's really nice. I did that. So if you did a great job of that, that would have really engaged with the stimulus there. Amazing. Could I quickly show the Mod 8 question? You forgot what it was. Sure, Awake. I'll just quickly show that to you. For Tempest and Hagseed, we've got Mod A. I'll read it out loud. Okay. Where are we on Tempest and Hagseed? Okay, here we are. Evaluate the role of artistry. Interesting. The role of artistry in the Tempest and Hagseed in enhancing your appreciation of the textual connections between these texts. So enhancing appreciation, role of artistry. In your response, make reference, so okay. There you go. Role of artistry. Study, that reminds me of a movie plot, LMAO. Yeah, look, honestly, yeah. Can I say this question about the Module A? It looks kind of a curveball to me. The role of artistry in enhancing your appreciation. So you're going to have to talk a lot about the form and the particular aesthetics of these two pieces. But to be fair, right? Like, if you think about it, and let's not be a bit mean here, but Hagseed, especially depending on your quotes, it's going to be hard to squeeze out form and aesthetics on your Hagseed evidence. You have to really talk about, and even if you don't believe in it, you got to talk about how the rap is an innovation. Okay, like you gotta go on about all this stuff, like the metafictive nature of her creation. I reckon Atwood would have slapped it together in a hurry. Like she's written better things, but unfortunately, it's almost like her thing is like fan fiction on The Tempest. And what are you going to do with it? You're going to have to still praise it because it enhances your appreciation of the textual connections, which does mean the conversation about the context, the purpose of the authors, the themes that you're going to discuss, right? But you got to emphasize how each piece of your evidence in your essay addresses this enhancing through its artistry. It's exam conditions. Yeah, exactly. You can use its performance, the performative, all that stuff is default in everyone's essay anyway, isn't it? Yeah, it's exam conditions. Someone's telling me to stop yapping. Got a hater in chat over here. Okay, so I guess our job is not to write the essay for Mod A. Our job is actually to attempt writing Mod C on the spot. I'm really a big fan of Study's idea. I have a slightly different idea. So this is my idea, and I'm going to give you the... Okay. This is my idea. When you're writing an imaginative piece of writing, right, like you just think, how can I really make this clock the focus of my narrative? Okay? And you want to sort of like draw as much from it as you can. And what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Okay. Do you reckon Theatre on Monday is also part of Atwood as well? That's interesting. That's interesting. All right, this is what we're going to do. We're going to have a space for the title because we're not actually sure what it's going to be yet. But what we're going to do is this. I probably should plan it out, but there's no time in exam conditions. I don't know how you can do this awake. Like, how did you manage? Yeah, why Dog Dealer? That's the main event of this channel. Like, next Wednesday is the thing where we do the maths paper. Although, I'm trying to say, like, is it easier to read the iPad or this handwriting thing? Because I feel like it's easier for me to write on paper than when we're doing the maths thing. Should we be doing, like, on paper or the iPad? I'm sort of still tossing it up, but I'm not sure yet. Okay, anyway, I need to stop stalling. We need to set when we want to start this and how bad we are at this, okay? So we got the, we're at 5. We're going to start at 5:32. We're going to attempt a 12 marker imaginative followed by an 8 marker reflection on this stimulus. Okay. I don't even know what I want to write yet. Yeah, okay. All right. Oh, that's so tough. That's so tough. Yeah, okay. 5:32, we're going to start writing something. How do you write something just on the spot out of nothing? I like the grandfather clock. Now my brain's thinking about that. That's nuts. Okay. I have no plot. I still have no plot. I don't actually know what this persona is going to actually do, apart from like get up and go to work. What are they going to do after that, right? Like there's nothing there. Oh man, and I don't want to use that idea of the grandfather clock. It's just, yeah, okay. Oh, it's so tough. Um. Oh. Okay. I still don't know how this is going to end. Like, what's this person going to do when they get out of bed and go to work? This is terrible. I am cooked in mod C. If only I wrote a one-page reflection. What does that even mean? Did you write a one-page reflection, or did you not write a one-page reflection? I don't understand this, Alina Yu. What does that even mean? Um, cooked in mod C. I don't even know. Like, what am I writing? Like, this person is getting out of bed, attempting to go to work, okay? And what's the point of their, what's the purpose of this piece? Like, why is he going to work? What's this clock going to do? What's the image, right? Like, oh, okay. So maybe we just need to use the image in a more sort of figurative way. But how do you do that, right? How do you do that? Uh, hmm. I can't come up with anything. Like, if there's no prepared narrative, like, I think Aware did such a good job at this. I think everybody wrote tick, tick, tick. Amazing, amazing. Raincoast said, for mine, I created this world where the main character was impending death, and the clock was counting down, and the people around were their family friends, and she was wishing them good. Oh, wow. Holy crap, Raincoats, that's awesome. That is awesome. And I made the central focus the onomatopoeia of tick, 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 and her glancing at the clock as the time ran out. Wow. That's so good. That's amazing. Was that something you just came up with on the spot as well? Because that's insane. That's so good. Like, or is that something that you already had an idea? Because I loved your main character. I've got this crappy main character of like just this person getting out of bed. Uh, yeah. Uh, I still don't know what my piece is about. This is crazy. Thank you. Yes, I made it up on the spot. I really wanted a discursive and didn't even prep for imaginative. Man, like, you guys are so good. Like, I can't. Like, I teach maths for a living. How do I, like, what am I going to keep doing with this piece? I still don't have a character that's gonna do anything. This is crazy. Like, how is it gonna end? What's this person gonna do? Like, there's absolutely nothing I can do. I really like what you've done, Raincoasts. That's insane. Why is it tick tick tick? Right? Okay. So I gotta like just focus on what I'm strong at, which is, I mean, you know, there's nothing. I see nothing. I got nothing out of this picture. It's literally just a clock, okay, with all these people, and what about it? What about it? So, and being a very like scientifically minded person, you can always just get sort of more I guess broad about that concept of the clock, right? And you can sort of go from there. But trust, I was so bad in my practice exams that it was an intensity and stress and adrenaline of the HSC. That's so good. Like, I'm so happy for you that the fact that you've actually come up with such a, salient adaptation of the image to do something like so interesting. Whereas to me, if I was given this stimulus, I would have wished for a discursive as an option, because my imaginative ideation is non-existent, as you can see. Like, I don't even know what I want to talk about at this point. Like, okay, there's a central focus of the narrative. You got the image, right? And what ends up happening is that how about we just get all like descriptive about the fact that okay, we're gonna have to make something work because I'm embarrassing myself on the stream here. Okay, so um uh, no, I'm struggling. I still don't know how this piece is gonna end. Like, what's the point? This person now, okay? Um, uh, okay. Um, oh boy. Um, my goodness. My goodness. Um, uh, amazing, amazing. It's gonna read so poorly by the time we're done with this piece. And where are we at now? 5:45. We spent 17. Wait, how long? 13 minutes writing slop that has no purpose. This is what not to do, guys. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I love Epic Maths, biggest fan account. Holy. How would you have interpreted the Florence Broadhurst mod B if you're familiar? Unfortunately, Raincoast, I didn't do that module. I'm not familiar with that particular text. I'm sorry to say. So true. It was such a whack stimulus. I felt like crying at first. I was like, why are these people standing inside Big Ben? But I let it marinate in my head while I did the essays first. Yeah, true. I mean, my cope right now is the fact that you guys had 1.5 hours of writing time to ideate this particular creative, whereas I've had about 10 minutes of yapping at chat, right? And people telling me things that I can't use anymore. So at the moment, like, my piece has absolutely no progression, right? It's got no purpose, and there's not going to be even a resolution to this character's struggles, which is only slightly beginning to take place, but in a really insipid and non-existent way. Okay, so what's the ending? What's the ending of this story going to be like? Because at least we can save ourselves with a reflection and glaze ourselves into saying that we actually did something in this particular piece, because I haven't done anything in this narrative. Okay, what narrative? There is absolutely no narrative. Okay, so yeah. Okay. Okay. Um uh uh Amazing. Absolutely nothing going on still. I've still got no progression in my narrative. Okay, so what do we got next? Don't worry, the stimulus was so silly, it was legit impossible, it's not you. I wrote about a girl trying to write her grandma's story she couldn't understand, and she wanted to stop time or go back or whatever, and would be like, stop, please, tick, tick, tick. Yeah, you know what? That's pretty good. Like, the trouble is this focus of your narrative. The focus means that they basically are looking for like as much engagement as possible, right? And that's the thing. Like the people who manage to cook up something completely out of scratch from on the spot, will probably have an advantage, because of they actually engaged the stimulus in such a sort of focused way. Focus. Oof. Yeah. But honestly, like struggle street. Like at the moment, I've got this character that's been presented in a second person, and they really like existentially dead. But because you can't write a discursive, you can't start yapping about all the name drops that you had planned, right? Which means you've got nothing apart from trying to tell a story. And now that this story is going on, like this person toys with the idea of being a deity, and they obviously know it's a joke and they're just joking with themselves. So what else are they gonna do? You know, maybe they're gonna have a chat to themselves again and say, you know what, maybe yeah, okay, well we're gonna try that. So um. How do you guys do Roman numerals? Hey guys, what's a Roman numeral? Oh, yeah. Okay. Goodness me, how'd you get the paper? Oh, I did ask the colleagues that work at my school in the English department for a copy of the paper. Although I got to say, this module C thing is an absolute embarrassment. Like, how do you come up with an idea off a picture, being aware that it has to be the focus of your narrative, if you haven't actually already practiced it? See, that's why I think Raincoast, the fact that you said you had trouble when you were practicing and learning about this, that you found it so difficult, means that you're more prepared to do something like this on the spot. So I really applaud you for having done that. I had that struggle too. I was writing that the hand was reaching to the 11, and I was like, hold up, what's that? Roman numerals, exactly. Are donations enabled for this live? Oh, Angus, unfortunately, no. I don't have donations. I actually don't know how to work YouTube at all. But I appreciate the sentiment if that's what you were thinking about. Look, we'll definitely do a better job with TS Eliot when we get to that one. Okay. For at the moment, this is shocking. And actually, we've actually almost gone over time with how long I've spent on the creative part. We got maybe another 5 or 10 minutes to wrap up this narrative that's absolutely about nothing. Okay. Yes, and I'll read it out loud afterwards so you can all laugh at it. Okay. Um, Yes. I don't know how legible this handwriting is. That's so kind to hear that from a teacher is real. Oh, I appreciate it. Yeah, no, absolutely. Horace Pye Clips. He's a teacher, so I assume got a copy. Yeah. It was very difficult because the stimulus was so specific. Usually it's quite broader than this image. Yeah, I agree. I agree. And it just meant that whatever you have prepared will be pretty hard to adapt to this as well. Okay. Okay. So, I will read this out after I've done it, and then I'll try to write a reflection sort of style thing. Okay. Um, um, oh. Okay. Now, this is such a terrible piece. I'm going to read it out loud because I'm sure the handwriting is a little bit of a challenge. And I'm going to tell you now that this is so hard. I don't know how you guys have to do this in like the HSC. That's, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. It's like the hardest thing. It's not even a proper reflection if you read the question. It's like, how did you use the image to shape your narrative, justify using language devices? No reference to, yeah, exactly. That's why it's probably 8 marks, because it didn't really care about references to prescribed. I wrote my usual reflection, but I assume I might get marked down a bit. Yeah, okay. Well, I mean, if you had a usual reflection, maybe you should cut back some of the stuff that didn't really make reference to the image, perhaps. Yes, exactly. I was really prepared to quote my prescribed test, especially since they haven't mentioned it in 2 years. Yeah, sheesh. T.S. Eliot was really interesting. I enjoyed the question. Okay, now I want to read this piece. It's awful as heck. Okay, so we've got okay, so here we go. 6 o'clock. It seems like the last twist of the knife is not so final. The world awaits in its daily cacophony of locomotives, phone calls, and footprints through the concrete. You fling yourself out of the cocoon that you retreated to, conscious that every moment there are expectations of impending purposelessness. The limbs of my fellow commuters occlude the grand clock in the city square, its archaic Roman numerals to be only seen in their utilitarian glory. The morning light glares through the symbols on the grand clock, blinding you in its inferno of condemnation. You, one of the soulless, congregating on this shore of your own tumid river, of indulgences and convenience and consumption. The judgment you face is the lightlessness beyond the blinding clock face, its numbers scars seared into your memory. You step outward, seeking the brightest spot beneath the clock, who now gazes disapprovingly at your dissolute posture. In moments you hope to be vaporized in an immense flash of light, as if the conflagration of your body will certainly open a new path for your soul. But alas, such hope disintegrates in your revelation that behind the clock there is no such force of condemnation, force of judgment. Should you then stand behind the clock yourself, take up the mantle of the eternal, see the hours but in reverse? You wipe your hand across your mouth and laugh. Perhaps you can content yourself with being one of the Roman symbols, those ancient reminders of the soul that now seems so far away. Will you be the 6, that symbol of incompleteness, even the devil? Or will you be the 7, the symbol for eternity? Or will you be, hey guys, 6, 7, the grotesque amalgam of the two? No, you decide to content yourself with being the minute hand. At least you can toy with the steady rotation of hours, sometimes hanging precariously as it strikes the hour, sometimes sitting in tranquility as it points eastward. Yes, at least you will have that. 7 o'clock. Alright guys, so I've dropped too many 6, 7s in this particular piece, but I hope you enjoyed my reading of it. I read it and it sounded better than I thought, even though it said absolutely nothing and had no progression. 6, 7, hey! Yo, 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 yo. Okay, so there we go. We had fun at least. We had fun. This is not going to score anything more than a 9. Welcome back, TS Eliot. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you, Alina. Okay. LMFAO. Your vocab is amazing. Thank you, Raincoasts. Yes, I'm not gonna lie, I was thinking 6, 7 as well. Amazing. Fizzwiz, yeah, 6, 7. Let's go. Alright guys, alright, we've done our job for today. We dropped 6, 7. We're gonna drop 6, 7 every time we're on stream this year because apparently that's a thing. Like, I don't know how you guys get so brain rotted into thinking that's something that's like cool to say, but I did it too. So here we go. This stream is lit fire, exactly. I actually enjoy the creative. It's very unique. You would think you'll be marked well because it's so specific. Well, that's what I thought, right? If you're going to do that, you might as well do something specific to the stimulus because you had nothing else prepared. So there you go. There you go. I at least hope you guys enjoy the reading of it. So how would you answer a reflection to try to get as many marks as possible, even if your narrative was not as good in your eyes? So we're gonna have a quick go at that. I need to like make this page better because the light's really reflecting poorly on the paper and it's making it really hard to read or even like write on. So let's have a go at the reflection, okay? You could say something along the lines of this, actually. Let's have a go at it. You know what we should name our piece? Let's just name it 6, 7. Let's go. Okay. At the heart of my imaginative is the exploration of and the absence of the soul and what else is there to say? I mean, it's such a sardonic piece with some purposelessness, and the futility of humanity we might as well have made this a T.S. Eliot essay at this point, in their constant search for spirituality. Yeah, no, this is literally sounding like a TS Eliot essay. Okay, so because there's no like references to the prescribes, I reckon actually the best thing to have done in this question, right, is that inspired by the multifaceted nature of the stimulus. So instead of saying, hey, I was inspired by this particular prescribed module or this writer, I'm actually going to just go straight for this. But if you talked about your prescribes, it's not a problem if you had enough words to go with it and talk about how you adapted it to this particular stimulus. But I'm going to directly just talk about the stimulus itself, right? I have crafted a confectional second person voice that mirrors the interior despair of a contemporary human. I mean, what else are you going to say? Of a in their ruminations about the nature of time and human agency. So what do we got here? Morning. Okay. There's nothing about this piece I can actually say anything positive about. Is that bad, guys? That's horrible. Oh my goodness. Apart from 6-7. Yeah, no, it's not even a motif. It's like I've interpreted it so literally, right? So what we can do is that inspired by the chiaroscuro, which is the contrast between light and dark of the stimulus, I have created the motif of self-deification through the what? Through the imagery of, let's have a look, fiery judgment, using a thematic lexicon derived from works of literature such as Dante's Inferno and what else do we have? That's about it, really. You know, and boy, oh boy, and you know what? They use like the Roman numerals comes from Italy too, right? So I mean, sure, that's amazing. Okay. The personification, I didn't even anthropomorphize anything. That, because you have to make reference to the language you use, so you have to like actually do that. And I'm really scraping the bottom of the barrel to find some descriptive language. The personification of the face of the clock that gazes disapprovingly represents the, oh my goodness. Of a and the speaker's subsequent disappointment in its absence. Wow, scraping the bottom of the barrel right here. That's insane, like what I'm writing here. My goodness, my goodness. Okay, now the other phase, the other part of this piece is where like I'm talking about making myself into parts of the clock hand. So in response to the futility depicted through the metaphysical imagery, my self-reflexive narrator then attempts to, you could say, assimilate himself into the minute, get it, elements of the stimulus in order to attain an anonymity that is poignantly captured in the contemporary vernacular in the form of 6/7. Yes. We're running out of page space, so we're going to start on the next page. Ultimately, the cyclic structure of my piece by returning to the singular statement of time reflects the overall cyclicity and futility of the human desire for transcendence that my piece attempts to convey. Okay, now we've written some glorious slop right here, guys. Let's do it. Let's read out loud. We're not doing a face reveal, unfortunately. 6/7 is a hard watch. Did you see my mod question before under the fire emojis? The last was not. We got TS Eliot at home, exactly. Now let me just have a look at your message earlier, Raincoasts, about the yes, Raincoasts. The question was focused on how the ending scene was like representative of all the tensions throughout the entire documentary. Oh, I agree. I think like the T.S. Eliot one seemed to be about the ending scene as well. So if you recognize that it's about the ending, hopefully you have knowledge of the course, like of your text well enough to convey that. You're making me feel a lot better about my exam. I yapped about how I drew from the stimulus. Absolutely. I think that was the purpose of how they worded their question. You have to engage what you did to the stimulus and cut back all the crap about prescribeds Okay, sure, you can say, hey, inspired by this element in the prescribed text, I'm going to do this, but it says explain how, right? It's not like saying reflect or anything like that. So I think the emphasis here is actually about how you apply the stimulus and not where you got it from or where you got the writing technique from, right? So I feel like that's the game you got to play. You got to answer the question first and foremost. I said the futility of life, hashtag win. Hey, would you actually self-market? I'm genuinely curious on what something like this will get mark-wise. Horror's Pie clips. All right, I'm going to read my thing. At the heart of my imaginative 6-7 is the exploration of purposelessness and the absence of the soul and the sardonic futility of humanity in their constant search for spirituality. Inspired by the multifaceted nature of the stimulus, I have crafted a confessional second-person voice that mirrors the interior despair of a contemporary person in their ruminations about the nature of time and human agency. Inspired by the chiaroscuro of the stimulus, I have created the motif of self-deification through the image of fiery judgment using a thematic lexicon derived from works of literature such as Dante's Inferno. The personification of the face of the clock that gazes disapprovingly represents the expectation of an exterior god figure and the speaker's subsequent disappointment in its absence. In response to the futility depicted through the metaphysical imagery, my self-reflexive narrator then attempts to assimilate himself into the minute elements of the stimulus in order to attain an anonymity that is poignantly captured in the contemporary vernacular in the form of 6-7. Ultimately, the cyclic structure of my piece, by returning to the singular statement of time, reflects the overall cyclicity and futility of the human desire for transcendence that my piece attempts to convey. Frankly, how would you even self-mark this, Horror's Pie? I cannot even imagine like how you would self-mark this. I would say that the reflection, given it's only 8 marks, and the fact that you referred to the stimulus enough times, despite its lack of substance, is probably a 6, right? And then this piece, this awful, god-awful piece that's out of 12, I cannot see it getting anything more than an 8. Okay? So we've got a 14 out of 20 for our module C. I can't, like, I feel sorry for you all that you have to put yourselves through this module. Like, it's such a wild card in this particular, like, syllabus. I'm pretty sure anyone studying for this would have a different approach than what I just did on the stream. So if you felt like you got out of it okay, then congratulations. You never have to do this ever again. The whole point of Module C, it's such a paradox on the point of writing, which is about taking your time, coming up with an idea, and editing. Yeah, it's such a contradiction on what writing is really about. So, what can you do? What can you do? Okay, so we got one more item left, and that is the Eliot essay. Let's have a look at just changing some stuff on the stream elements there. Okay, we got the paper 2. Let's put away the thing. Appreciate Raincoast your support. I mean, it was tough. I have to say it was tough. So let's have a look at TS Eliot. Anyone in chat actually did TS Eliot? I'm just checking if how many people actually did TS Eliot today in their exam. I agree, especially due to the fact that we were forced to do an imaginative. There's no creative liberties. Absolutely. I mean, the creative liberty that you're going to have to make is quickly coming up with an idea during writing out your other essays. Yes, the paradoxes and inconsistencies of the human experience of sitting the compulsory HSC exam. Absolutely. Well put. Well put. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay, so we got all this happening. Got the advance, we got this done, we can put that away, we can put the comprehension away. So that leaves us with just the essays. Where is the booklet that has the essays? I had Tempest, Hackseat, and Broadhurst, Raincoasts. AU for Gold says yes, it was really nice. Are you guys saying yes about TS Eliot? Can we get an indication of how many people did TS Eliot on chat, please? Just so I actually know how many people we have that this is relevant to? Magi, my beloved. Oh, Victoria Onge says yes, TS Eliot. Oh my goodness. Also, do you have an opinion on yesterday's common mod essay? I would say that I feel like the examiners, the people who wrote Endurance of the Human Spirit, probably had in their own mind what it meant to them. But when they start marking people's attempts and realize that 17, 18-year-olds do not interpret this phrase the same way as 50-plus-year-olds who think this is about, the sort of ultimate resilience, they're going to have to mark everyone's takes on the human spirit at a fairly, equal and forgiving level, right? What they had in their heads when they came up with this, and then can you just imagine the guys at Nessa? They're like, oh, let's write something creative. And then someone shows someone else the draft question and they're like, oh, the endurance of the human spirit, I really like that. Let's go have coffee together. Can you just imagine that's what goes down? And then they might not have thought about how a 17, 18-year-old would interpret this phrase. So as long as you engaged with it and came up with something that is a relevant take about human motivations, human resilience, human intentions, or even just human stubbornness, I think that's totally fair, isn't it? They should have just said resilience. Yeah, I feel like endurance of the human spirit is such a fancy-pantsy way of saying resilience. Yeah. Okay, AU for gold did Eliot, Victoria Onge did Eliot, and Horace did Eliot. I said for common mod that it shows how the endurance of the human spirit has a limit, and Orwell urges us to act before its endurance isn't enough, as the rebellion for Winston did not work out. Yeah, I would say so. See, the thing is, your understanding of the endurance of the human spirit does not mean that you have to, expound the way the text promotes it, right? The whole point of a lot of texts, 1984 in The Crucible, is about how the human spirit has been eroded or has been challenged and has been tested, and how the different characters react to the way that their human spirit has been tested, right? And all of the characters have had their human spirits tested in different ways. So, and some of them did not endure. And that's totally something you can write about. Yeah, so that's a good take, I would say. I had The Crucible and took it as their drive to survive. Exactly. So even the drive to survive, the drive to self-preservation is a part of the human spirit. And the endurance of that, it shows how, it's complex, that your drive to survive demonstrates both the endurance and the erosion of the other side of your human spirit, perhaps your integrity or your honesty or whatever it is, right? I would say, yeah. And I think that link to Arthur Miller, the fact that he himself in the writing of the piece demonstrates his human spirit, because he, as an author, transcends his era, because that's why he wrote it. And I'm pretty sure everyone would have talked about the allegorical nature, and that's a demonstration of his human spirit. And that's why his piece is timeless and why we're still learning it today, right? So there's so much in it. What about human flaws, human imperfections, human nature? I feel like as long as you can link it back to the word spirit, it's possible. It's possible. It's just that spirit carries such a positive connotation with the markers. We're going to have to see. No one knows what goes on in the marking. You're going to have to talk to an actual teacher who's done HSC marking. But you know what? By tomorrow, you would not even care about this whole thing, the HSC for English, right? This is something for future cohorts to worry about, how the word human spirit was interpreted. But by then, they're going to have a different question anyway. So I wish you all great luck in how the marking panel moderates and does the pilot marking for this. I hope they recognize that people interpret this differently across. How did bro get the paper? Yes, Abigail, I showed it eroded. Proctor, he stuck to his morals. And Elizabeth Proctor, self-growth. Exactly. She went from judging to ultimately saying, I have flaws of my own. Exactly. I mean, Elizabeth endures so much that, she actually demonstrates so much resilience, but also just transformation of character as well. So I think if you had Elizabeth, that's probably a good thing in your essay. That's awesome. Okay, So shall we have a look at TS Eliot? I just want to have a look at what the actual question was and have a go at writing an essay for it. Did anyone want to suggest, because I don't have quotes for T.S. Eliot, guys. I would like, just for the next few minutes, for those of you that did Eliot, you're going to volunteer, chat volunteers quotes. Okay? So you're going to tell me what quotes you want me to use for T.S. Eliot. So maybe limit it to a couple per person, so that you're not flooding the whole chat with your entire poem. Let's go. Okay. So yeah, go for it, guys. I'll give you guys a bit of time. You're going to volunteer some quotes for T.S. Eliot for me, because I don't have any quotes off the top of my head. Well, I do, but I don't want to use them. Oh, hell no. All right, Raincoats. Appreciate hanging out. I really like your insightful comments and your just banter in general. You've been such an asset to this particular stream. Hey, if you're doing extension 1, extension 2, these live streams will be on the afternoon of those exams respectively. So yeah, I hope to see you around. Appreciate you hanging out. Good luck with the rest of your studies. I don't care, Alpha X returns. I'm happy for you to pick whichever one. We are the, okay. We are the Hollow Men. We are the Stuff Men. Are you sure, Horace, you don't have anything more exciting for us? You insist on me doing this one. Okay, I'll keep that in mind. Let's have a look at any other options. Alphex, happy for you to do any quote. Like, literally any quote. I'll better read the question, huh? Cheers, rank hosts. Appreciate you coming on. Okay, let's have a look at the question for T.S. Eliot. Tyweb, that is not a T.S. Eliot quote from the pseudo poetry. That you actually have to do a quote from the poetry, not from his literary criticism. And the Valley of Dying Stars, the last twist of the knife. Okay, we got a Rhapsody fan over here. In the Valley of Dying Stars, so some Hollow Men as well. Measured Life in Coffee Spoons, you're a fan of that? Okay. Hard and Bitter Agony, grimy scraps of withered leaves. It's not Rana. Whimper, Cross to Death, Other Kingdom, Vine Leaves Over the Lintel. Okay, I can pick one of those. And then the extract at the end was perfect for the question, actually. For thine is the... Okay, yes. Alphex likes, I have measured out my life with coffee spoons. His soul stretched hard across the skies that fade behind a city block. Preludes. Okay, appreciate that one. Yeah, so interesting. Okay, so people have given a mix of proof rock, preludes, and Rhapsody. It's just a bit risky to be putting all three of those poems into like one paragraph. So I'm going to try to do my best. It is tricky. But we're going to try to mash it all in. Let's have a look. Okay, but I better read the question, huh? Let's have a look at the question. Okay, so we got an extract question on Journey of the Magi. All this was a long time ago, I remember. Okay, we know this one. This is at the end of Journey of the Magi. And I would do it again, but set down. Okay, I don't know if you guys know what this is about, but I do. Were we led all that way for birth or death? There was birth, certainly. We have evidence and no doubt. We have seen birth and death, but I had thought many were different. Look, obviously the point of this extract is you're going to have to analyze it somehow. So I'm going to try to analyze quite a few different elements of it, because engagement with the stimulus, the extract, is really important in an essay like this. These kingdoms, no longer at ease here, the old dispensation, with an alien people, okay, old dispensation, with an alien people clutching their gods, I should be glad of another death. So this is the, yeah, this is fine. The old dispensation is referring to sort of like the old cultures and that they used to belong to compared to the old kingdoms. So there's a bit of that, the historical element, the intertextual element of it. This is the narrative voice. We've got that. We've got the intertextuality. And we've got the binary of life and death, birth and death. So you see, like, what I'm thinking is that because it's an extract question, you want to engage with this as much as possible to maximize your chances that the marker recognizes that you really like enjoy, you know, this module. That's what I would say. I'm not sure about that one, unfortunately. So what we're going to do is we are going to moderate that one, AlfX. I think there's nothing wrong with Victoria's name. And I'm pretty sure you won't mind me just deleting that particular message. Anyway, okay, so moving on. Let's have a look. How many poems are you doing? You forgot. Game over for AlfX returned. GG. Okay, now, let's read this. Oof. In what ways is this closing stanza of Journey of the Magi? Oof, okay. In what ways? Okay, so this doesn't say anything. An effective resolution. Oof. Oh yeah. Ooh, ouch. To the poetic tensions. What? What? Poetic tensions? What's he on about? What is the question on about? Guys, poetic tensions. Any takers in chat on what poetic tensions is? That's insane. That is insane. Effective resolution to the poetic tensions explored in Eliot's poetry. I'm gonna like unpack the word tensions, but poetic tensions, I feel like if you read all the other questions, poetic tensions is poetic just means that's his form, that's his chosen like genre. Like poetic tensions? What a weird way of putting it. I mean, unbelievable. Okay. So what would you actually do? Now let's just plan out the quotes that we're going to use. My idea is that we are going to smatter a few of these early poem quotes in the first couple of paragraphs. So I actually want to integrate this particular thing, okay, these three aspects of this closing stanza into each of my three paragraphs, just throwing it together, because I just think that shows the engagement with the question as much as possible, okay? And how do we do that? Well, in the first paragraph, we're actually going to talk about the poetic voice of T.S. Eliot, just in general, okay? So that's what we're going to do, and we're going to find other evidence from his poems that do that. We've got the binary of birth and death. This is a philosophical one, so I actually think this one probably belongs to the third paragraph, because that's the resolution that we are looking for, okay? And we've got the intertextuality, which we can analyze as the second paragraph, the about just his artistry and how he puts together his poetry and the way that these, you know, the basically his name dropping that he does in all his poems. So basically, if you categorize your three paragraphs into that structure, it'll be an extremely unique structure that shows the marker that you haven't gone in with a memorized essay. It's going to be a pretty cooked answer. By poetic tensions, I interpret it as his previous poems referring to meaningfulness of life. I wasn't sure. Yes. Poetic tensions and Eliot's inability to reclaim purpose in modern society. I'm pretty sure. Okay. I actually think it's both of those things. I would say that on the spot, poetic tensions is, yeah, it's like the contrast between what is and what could be as far as the human condition is concerned, right? So the inability to reclaim purpose, that's amazing. And I really like referring to the meaningfulness of life in his previous poems. Yeah, I think that's good. You can also refer to the contrast between the earlier and later poems. So let me just have a look at what people have said. Measured out my life with coffee spoons. Hard. Let me just find. Okay. People seem to really like coffee spoons for some reason. Interesting. Why? Why coffee spoons? Bang with a whimper. I want to pick one from It's Not Rana. Grimy Scraps. Okay. Oh, yes. Victoria really likes Soul Stretched. Okay. Amazing. I like that one too. I'm a big fan of that one from Preludes. Let's see how many. Which one would I pick from Rana? Rana, do you have a favorite one out of all of those that you can pick for me? Because there's a lot of choices there. Last Twist of the Knife sounds pretty good too. I want to put this in the second paragraph, and I'm going to put the coffee spoons in the first paragraph. Last twist of the knife is the third paragraph. What else we got? Let's have a look. Okay. I might pick something for Rana. You like the vine leaves. Okay, gotcha. The vine leaves and lintels. Yep. I think I'll put that in the second paragraph as well. Okay. That means we don't have anything from the Hollow Men. Did someone say Hollow Men earlier? We did have the Valley of Dying Stars from Alfex, and he deleted it. Oh no, he's happy with that still. The Valley of Dying Stars, unfortunately, also belongs in the second paragraph, so we need a bit more on the first paragraph at this point. Let me think. Vine leaves? Yep. AU for gold use vine leaves as well. Interesting that you guys use vine leaves. I almost feel like, is that because you thought you had to use magi? Like, do magi and cover more magi in your poems? How about we are the Hollow Men, we are the Stuff Men? I like that one. I want to use that one in the first one. We are the Hollow Men. Okay. Alright. What else do we got? For thine is the? Okay, for thine is the. Yeah. I like that one as well. So that means that we don't want to end up having too much of a mix in these paragraphs, because the marker will get annoyed that you're like going through like multiple poems in the same paragraph. But there's not much you can do, because if we want to use magi in all three paragraphs, then we're going to force it that way, and the marker better like it, whether they like it or not, right? It's like what are they going to say? Oh, your paragraphs are not focused because you drew from multiple poems. No, we want to talk about poetic tensions, so we're going to have them. We're going to give them poetic tensions. Let's do it. Okay. Any last minute ones? I'm about to start writing the essay, guys. Okay. So, just making sure chat's all there. Let's have a go at the essay writing aspect of this. Yeah. Okay. An effective resolution. In what ways is it effective resolution? I don't think it's that effective, honestly. It's not an effective resolution, but whatever. Okay. Okay, so how do we start this one? Nice one, like an etherized patient. And we got Vic liking that one. We can do that one. We can do that one. Declan says, when did you grad? A long time ago. So, okay. The poetic tensions of Eliot's poetry are a salient mirror of the... Now, the way I think about this, right, is that you got to unpack the word tensions. So what other tensions are there, right? So we've got the existential, the epistemological, if we guys know what this is, and the spiritual tensions encountered by the modernist human subject of Eliot's milieu. So that sort of establishes you're gonna be talking big game with the question. The psychic tensions of Prufrock. Oh yeah, that's pretty cool too. I like that. I like that. Even though I'm not sort of focusing on Prufrock on this one, I like that one actually, Alina. That's pretty cool. Ontological. Oh sheesh. I missed ontological, guys. Out of all these words, I missed ontological. I reckon ontological probably belongs where existential is actually. But I like it. We're gonna get to ontological a bit later. I appreciate the thingy, the nihilism in Rhapsody. The only certainty the modern world is passage of time. Okay, all right. So, but what about the closing stanza? Because we want to make reference to the stimulus as well. In what ways is this closing stanza of Journey of the Magi an effective resolution? The closing stanza. In what ways is it an effective resolution? Uh, I mean, it's a long intro. Here's the intro. So I want to just quickly read out the intro to establish what we are going for. Okay, so what we have here is I'm going to divide my essay into 3 sections, and these sections are not poem based. The sections are based on what I draw out of the extract, which basically means that my essay is completely motivated to answer the extract. In fact, there's nothing in this intro that doesn't address the extract. Okay, so what we have is I'm saying that the poetic tensions of Eliot's poetry are a salient mirror of the existential, the epistemological, and the spiritual tensions encountered by the modernist human subject of Eliot's milieu. The ending of Journey of the Magi captures the persistent liminality of the human pursuit to find ontological significance, offering a lasting portrait of the human condition that endured beyond the poet's original context. So that's just summarizing what the ending of the Journey of the Magi says. The poetic voice of Eliot is exemplified in the ending of Journey of the Magi to demonstrate the innovations Eliot employs to evoke these tensions throughout his oeuvre. The intertextuality exhibited by Magi's ending demonstrates the tension between the modern Western collective consciousness and the erosion of spirituality faced by the human subject. Finally, the philosophical binaries established in the ending of the Magi offers a resolution for the nihilistic anguish depicted by Eliot's earlier poetry. Ultimately, the ending of Magi encapsulates both the aesthetic and ontological concerns of Eliot's oeuvre, bringing them to a rich and pluralistic conclusion. So basically, yeah, this essay is gonna be GG's, my intro was a third of yours, skull emoji. Look, I mean, it's very hard to come up with like a long intro, because what you're going to try to do is trying to say 3 different things about your 3 paragraphs. But these 3 paragraphs are never structured in this way that we're doing today, because everyone just structures it by poem or by like a theme or something. Whereas I'm structuring it based on some quotes that chat has suggested, guys. We've got some chat volunteered quotes. So what we're going to do, the first paragraph, the first body is going to be about the aesthetics of Eliot's poetry. So we're going to obviously springboard that from the Journey of the Magi with the extract. Okay. So we say something like this. We say T.S. Eliot's we don't need to say both. I think that's enough. So T.S. Eliot's uniquely modern aesthetic establishes the poetic tension of depicting the modern world through the poetic form. So we're actually going to talk a lot about form in this particular one. Okay. So what is it about the form of this that is demonstrated in the Journey of the Magi extract? What we have here is we have the extract from Magi is written as a dramatic monologue in the voice of, see, these characters, right, of an anachronistic character, if I can spell that word, of the Magi represented in Reverend Andrew's nativity sermon. From, I think, 1611. by appropriating this monologue through such interjections as, where does it say, but set down, this set down, where the magus is addressing an implied scribe. What that does is that Eliot provides a direct insight for the reader into the interiority of these fictional magi, as well as the intent of the religious sermon being preached. Denoting that the pursuit of spirituality represented through the Magi is a timeless pursuit, is timeless. Look, you can say transcends history. Okay, so what we've done here is we've sort of talked about how the Magi, with the way that they're speaking and the way that they address the audience as the scribe, means that you're also swept up into this anachronistic appropriation of their voice. So their particular dramatic monologue voice is now a voice that directly speaks to the audience, but also the audience can identify as many things. The audience is going to identify as the Magi, they're going to identify as Reverend Andrews, they're going to identify as the audience of Reverend Andrews, right? So basically you are now drawn into the whole narrative of it, and you're participating in this rediscovery of spirituality. I mean, I said all this, but I don't think I said all this very well in this particular sentence. Okay. This English stuff doesn't make any sense, bro. Yes. Oh yeah, true, Horace. I probably should have. I guess I was just saying his oeuvre, right? But if you mention his other poems, absolutely, you can make specific mention of his other poems. If your essay is going to be predominantly focused on Magi plus two other poems, absolutely refer to them at the intro. There's no I think yes or no answer to this one. So what else were we going to say about the voice of his poetry again, apart from that particular one? Okay. The appropriation of historical voices is similarly portrayed in The Hollow Men, where the collective choir chants, "We are the Hollow Men, we are the Staff Men, the identification of the reader with these hollow men who are intertextually linked to Joseph Conrad's Heart of Darkness. And Guy Fawkes, the Gunpowder. Look, I too can't be bothered like listing all the intertextual allusions, right? So what we're going to say is who are intertextually linked to represents the nihilistic modern collective, which includes the reader. Demonstrating the journey resolution to this hollowness as of an utmost concern for Eliot's own audience. Oh, that sentence structure really broke apart there. That was crazy. Okay, so we did one piece of evidence from the chat. What else do we got? We got coffee spoons. We can do that one as well. Horace Pye loves Colonel Kurtz. Amazing. Okay, what else do we have apart from that quote for paragraph 1? We've got coffee spoons. Yes. Okay. So, building up this shared voice of modernist concern, Eliot also establishes the monologue of the flaneur in Proofrock. Unfortunately, introducing all the poems with their full name is awkward here, and I would say that you would never write it like this, an essay like this in practice, right? Through the exclamation, measured out your life in coffee spoons. The second person appeal of this image of cyclicity again relates, I would say, envelops the audience into this sense of inertia and I don't know, you could say ennui, prevalent throughout Eliot's poetry. But then we really haven't really talked much about the Magi. I almost feel like it's better to say more about the Magi at this point, right? But yeah, anyway. Thus, through the how do we say, distinctive poetic voice shared throughout Eliot's earlier poetry, their spiritual tensions have now become the concern of his reader, inviting them on this journey of potential rediscovery. Because the annoying part of this question is that it's an effective resolution. Personally, I don't think the journey of the Magi is a conclusive resolution to all the issues of modernity that Eliot's entire suite of poetry is talking about. So how can they make this claim that it's an effective resolution to the tensions explored in his other poetry? I actually think the quote in the extract is actually a very open-ended quote that really asks the question of the audience: is spiritual awakening worthwhile, and is it ultimately futile, or is it ultimately satisfying, or is there somewhere in between? And I personally think it's somewhere in between. So I think this question's not great. I think it shows a very one-sided interpretation of Eliot, now that the more I look into it. Okay, so that's our first paragraph done. We're going to look at the second body paragraph. We have the evidence: vine leaves and soul stretched. Okay, now I like this second paragraph. I think the second paragraph will make a lot of points. So let's talk about what the second paragraph is actually going to be about. Okay. So the point is that the intertextuality of the extract is going to help us dive into the intertextuality of the other poems that we have. So what is intertextual about this extract? Yeah, okay. The old dispensation, the alien people clutching their gods. So, okay. So Eliot's rich intertextuality exhibited by the extract is amplified in his earlier poetry to represent the inherent spiritual narrative. So what is in here that's intertextual? It's a kind of a not much going on kind of quote, right? We already talked about the voice of the extract. What about the kingdoms and the old dispensation and the alien people? Okay, what are these? What is the old dispensation? So referred to by the Magi is symbolic how did I spell symbolic like that? The symbolic of the hedonistic and secular zeitgeist that has overtaken Western culture in the onslaught of modernity. So what happens is that the whole point of this quote is really about how the Magi has found their spirituality but also at the same time discovered that they're alienated from their old dispensation, which means that like the trouble, the arduous nature of this self-discovery is to, you know, to come to terms with the fact that you're now alien, right? Um, well, you could say rediscovering the Christian heritage. That you could say mirrors or correlates with Eliot's personal conversion to Anglo-Catholicism. Okay, so there's the alien people, represents the renewed alienation with this, you know, from this vacuous state of being. Okay, so we've said enough about the quote. Let's have a look at some of these cool other things. Okay, earlier in the Magi, I love Victoria's quote. We're going to make a lot of that one in this paragraph. Earlier in the Magi, the biblical allusions of 3 trees and vine lintels underscore the latent spiritual narrative that is ever present in the Western collective unconscious. Ready to be rediscovered through the shared voice established by the extract. Even more so, Magi offers the resolution to the longing for spirituality. Basically, that quote from Preludes is basically Eliot in his earlier years, who hasn't converted yet, having this sense that the longing for spirituality saliently represented in the elusive image of his soul stretched tight across the skies. That fades behind a city block. The objective correlative nature of this image reveals the latent narrative that is distant throughout Eliot's earlier poetry. Ultimately, Magi's intertextuality offers a rediscovery of the Christian narrative hidden throughout Eliot's oeuvre. Well, I mean, it's not worded exactly very well, is it? But that's the idea of that quote, the soul stretched behind the skies. In Preludes, he's talking about how, you know, I dream of this infinitely gentle, infinitely suffering thing, clearly talking about Christ, right? That Christ has been part of the Western sort of canon forever, but he's so remote in those earlier poems that Magi finally gets to, resolve. Okay, lastly, we're getting to the end, guys. We're making it. We've got to get through this stream. This is like so much harder than maths, I have to say. Like, goodness me. Like, maths is a cakewalk compared to this. Now, what do we got? We've got the last one, which is, people want to talk about last twist of the knife, thine is the, and we're also going to talk about the binary of birth and death. Okay, so this is a good one, I would say, because it offers like that philosophical discussion that are not, I don't think it's actually resolved, but the question wants you to argue that it is resolved, which I'm not a fan of, but that's what we're going to have to do. Okay, so we say that a convincing resolution to the metaphysical questions of life and death through the conclusion of Magi. The rhetorical binary of birth and death reveals the constant human concern for the eschatological destiny of the soul. But you see, the thing is, I never interpret this that way. It's like you're still in the air, up in the air at this point, right? Like, I'm not a fan of this question at this stage. You can't interpret it like it's a resolution. Like, what does that even mean? But you're going to argue it anyway. You're going to say the Magi thus offers a resolution to this eschatological concern in the form of birth as a spiritual rebirth and death as a renunciation of the secularity and hedonism of his earlier poetry. And you can actually go like this, right? This is echoed by the collective voice in the liturgical interjections of thine is the I forgot the exact quoting of this part. Thine is the, life is the, right? What is that the demonstration of? As the prime Christian ambition. That is stifled within the modern subject through the fragmentation of the call and response ritual. Oh man, that's worded so poorly. Now we got one last one, the last twist of the knife. How are we going to fit Rhapsody into this particular paragraph? Okay, Rhapsody, last twist of the knife. Therefore, Eliot's later poetry offers a satisfying resolution that to the crippling paralysis of earlier poems such as The Last Twist of the Knife, found in Rhapsody. Marking the modernist subject's journey through, I guess you could say, I don't know, like urban despair to post-World War anguish, and finally to the glimpse of hope, I could say. Exemplified by the extract. Okay, so we're ready to write the conclusion. We got the conclusion about to go. What do we say in the conclusion? The ending of Magi effectively tail ends Eliot's aesthetic and ontological concerns expressed throughout his oeuvre. Even as this resolution merely, well, you wouldn't say merely, takes the form of continued commentary and reflection on the part of the reader. It's a bit of a weak ending because I hate the question now. but it is what it is. So that's the end of that essay. That's ridiculous. Let's have a look at some of the comments we got here. So I'm doing HOD for extension 1, essay for Worlds of Upheaval, actually a banging book. Eliot cooked hard. Actually, okay, so you're actually doing Heart of Darkness. Yeah, I've read Heart of Darkness. It's great. It's a great book. It's like, it's a bit tricky to do, and he's like imagery sometimes a bit over the top, but it is very, very fun. That will be me. Ty Webb. I'm not sure. I don't have a Board of Studies account exactly. Surely that's hyperbole is a stronger technique for use for that quote. You had the biblical illusion. In the opening of Magi, you have an allusion to Lancelot Andrews' Christmas address. In the alliterative, a cold coming we had of it, just the worst time. Of course, yeah. I'm just using your quotes, guys. I've missed sort of all the suggestions. Hey, Raincoast, you're back. Guess what I found out? Nessa used Thick of It by KSI in the music. Apparently, someone troll posted that KSI was used as one of the what's it called, creative like mod C stimulus. Maths teacher doing English paper. We'll live in a golden era. Yeah, Ringo, brother Ringo. I gotta say, like, I hope you'll be around. I'm pretty sure you'll be there to sit the extension 2 paper next Wednesday. We'll be here next Wednesday as well, attempting the extension 2 paper. Probably won't get the last question out again as usual. Right, so we're going to have to advertise your solution towards the end of the stream next week. It's actually a banging essay, Horace Pye, surely marked well because it's clearly not adapted but specifically written for the stimulus. Oh, that's too kind. It's too kind. Yes. I saw that, but it was legit in Music 1 exam. That is insane. It's actually in the Music 1 exam. Oh boy. Oh boy. Yeah, that's nuts. That's nuts. Look, that's the end of that essay. So I hope everyone sort of like learned a bit from that. What I've learned is that you cannot do creative writing with an audience trying to interact with chat and actually come up with like an idea for the stimulus. That was the most traumatic thing I've done for a while. Goodness me, like this thing gave me nothing. Like if it was prose or something, I would have, springboarded off it, but you just give me a picture, it gave me absolutely nothing. What do you think people think if they just did Magi as a third paragraph? Can you upload that essay LOL? You do not want to use that essay. It's not going to mark well in any other question. Okay? This essay, right, literally did not introduce any of the other texts. It uses multiple poems in each paragraph, more than 2, like 3 poems in each paragraph, okay? And it refers constantly to the extract, which is only from the Magi, and only at the very end of the Magi, and it doesn't even offer a thematic analysis of his poetry. It offers a sort of an aesthetic, intertextual, and philosophical analysis based on the ideas I drew only from the stimulus. So, I mean, what do you think this is going to get in any other situation? Very, very low. But for this question, yeah, it depends on the marker, I guess. Like the expression and analysis is a little bit like fragmented and basic, but it is what it is. Yeah. Epic masochist. Holy. Did anyone else share their imaginative ideas while there was no Raincoasts? Bit quiet tonight with the chat. But I'm really appreciating that you came back. I hope everyone turns up for the maths stream on Wednesday. That one will be really relaxing. I can assure you all. Like this has been huge brain power. I'm ready to have a nap. So anyway, yeah. Like I hope I can see you all for the maths stream next Wednesday, straight after extension 2. So tune in, guys, if you see that then. So, will people still do well if they only did Magi in paragraph 3? I mean, you're asking someone who doesn't even do English as a teaching job. I would say you will have to... look, I think your other paragraphs do need to mention a little bit about how these things are resolved. So, look, I really don't... I think that resolution, the concept of resolution, it's... I don't think Eliot's poetry resolves anything. I'm not even a fan of the question. So what are you going to do? Like, I don't think anyone would really like use the extract in multiple places and talk about resolution apart from their only third paragraph. So I think you're pretty safe, Alina, for this one, because no one's gonna do it like this. No one's gonna like, we're gonna try to resolve every single one of our paragraphs. So yeah, Maths Extension 2 will be fire, exactly. Maths Standard 2, oh, that'll be, I don't think I have the knowledge, Raincoast, for Maths Standard 2, unfortunately. Do you do teaching streams as well? I need to learn all of normal distribution for Maths Standard 2, sheesh. Oh. Yeah, so you're not a fan of resolution as well, Raincoasts? I'm not a fan. I don't like the word resolution. I think it's very strange, and I think you can only engage with it in like one of your paragraphs. Like, how are you going to talk about resolution? That's why I broke it into 3 paragraphs that are really, really weird. Yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna boost. Hope everyone's enjoyed watching this as much as I've enjoyed attempting this, and I'm glad to see chat all behave themselves and everyone, hopefully got something, especially comprehension. Like, my approach to comprehension, I don't think it's like terrible, but at the same time, some of those texts weren't exactly easy either. So I hope it all works out, guys, but remember, don't think about it until the actual HSC results come out, and even then you're not going to think about it the day after you got them. So yes, because it kind of blocks us talking. Exactly. You should do this next year too, Horace. I'm pretty sure like maths is something that's quite timeless that people actually keep going back to and look at, whereas English is one of those things that, like, it's less relevant because they don't really use it to study again, right? But yeah, my resolution from doing this, get it, resolution, is to actually continue to pursue literature and learning about different texts and just enjoying the process of learning, because that's what all this stream has been about. It's about the fact that yes, we could be talented math students, yes, we could be talented English students, but in the end, it's what makes you feel like you're enjoying the learning process and not try to measure yourself based on what you think your natural ability is, right? I mean, you're never going to be like the most, I don't know, genius of any subject, even if you think you are, or even if the world recognizes you as one. You're never going to be that forever anyway. So why not just appreciate the things that, gets you excited to learn about? So that's the conclusion I'll leave you guys with, and appreciate everyone from hanging out today. Okay,